that I've never learned anything from any crash course, or I've never had a professional degree in digital marketing. Whatever I've learned is already there on social media, and it's amazing how what you are going to achieve on social media, you're always learning it on social media on the go. So it's the end product, that is the brand that should speak to your target audience as an independent voice.
Welcome back to Storyteller Social Summit. Happy World Social Media Day again. Now, in this session, we're going to be talking about you, the storyteller in you. How to embrace, discover, or hone the storyteller in you right from scratch, regardless of which stage you're in. But hey, before that, the cool email you got, yes, that was sent to you from Handysons. Make sure you check them out. Without further ado, your host for this session is going to be Harsh. Over to you, Harsh.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kaushik. So, hello everyone. I'm Harsh Kishore here, Tribe Chief at the Storyteller Tribe, and wishing you all a happy World Social Media Day. There is one approach that always works on social media, whether it's branding or lead generation. That approach is called a storytelling. It is a long drawn approach. If post at dusk, it doesn't create impact immediately at dawn. It takes a period of time for a story to spread its wing far and wide. There are many blocks which you can use to construct an effective story on social media, and we have our speaker to talk more on that. Sonam Bala is an independent storyteller and content strategist at Mook Entertainment. She is a content producer who have worked with various startups to build their web presence from scratch. She is also writing a script for short videos with subtitle brand placement featuring both macro and micro influencers to be streamed on various OTT platforms. And you know her about a special thing about that, she didn't learn things in college. She a college dropped out and she learned everything by practice. Her content has helped different brands like Nykaa Man and Dr. Vaida Ayurveda in their success. She's also worked on curating content, script writing, and social media management, and has been producing literary content as well. So now I hand over the session to Sonam. Yeah.
So even before I start this presentation and this session, I'll just tell you that this PPT that you are going to see, which is a very basic PPT, no elements of design whatsoever, or basically these guys gave me a copy of the PPT and I did whatever I could do in half an hour. And interestingly, this is the lesson you will learn in social media management as well, because you always have to constantly be trending and you do not always get enough time to be prepared. So, it can go on, it can be now or it can be never. So you have to put out content and you have to think about it, and still you have to be presentable. I'm hoping it to be presentable, by the way. Yeah. So these guys had given me enough time. I was traveling throughout these whole days in the middle of pandemic, by the way. But okay, never say never. So I just jumped up on this opportunity and see how this goes. Let's start from Storyteller Social Summit. These guys introduced me, but I'm not sure if these guys have introduced themselves. So I went and read about them on their LinkedIn page, and these guys have been putting out such content since, I think, since December last year. And these guys have now put together this amazing summit, which many amazing people are speaking on to. Like I've seen many people who have been proven legendaries in social media font, and this is where we all land up, and we are all going to share what we have learned in our own experiences. Moving ahead, let me introduce myself, although these guys have done that already. Okay, so the first slide that these guys had shared with me was a sample slide where I had to introduce myself and get my pictures, but I was not able to edit it in half an hour of time, which I got. So this would be the closest I would ever be to Jeff Bezos, and I'm hoping for you to mistake me for him, if that makes sense. But apart from that, I've been a storyteller. I've started producing content ever since I was in high school. And now I work with brands like Nika Man, Dr. Vaidya's, even some upcoming startups like Other, and a lot of brands who are out there trying to make their impressions. In today's session, I'll be paralleling my journey as a storyteller. And let me tell you, even before I begin all of it, that I've never learned anything from any crash course, or I've never had a professional degree in digital marketing. Whatever I've learned is already there on social media, and it's amazing how what you are going to achieve on social media, you're always learning it on social media on the go. So it's never like you have to go to a separate institution. There are plenty, and there are good ones in the market. But what you learn on your own, it stays with you, and it goes on to build up your narrative, and it creates your unique impression. So when I tell you that I've been producing content since I was in high school, basically that gives me around 5 to 7 years of experience in this particular field. So I went to North Campus, Delhi University, and the discipline I was enrolled into did not interest me much. I was doing my bachelor's in science for botany, and I do not know the B of botany. And I'm not sure if I know the D of digital marketing as well, but so far I've been able to do some good things with some good brands. So I'm hoping that would prove to be something productive for you all here. And I think that's a long brief about this whole session. I'm not sure even if that long content is here. So let's get started with the building blocks of becoming a storyteller on social media. So it would be kind of a cheating if I tell you that I'm gonna tell you how to be a storyteller and I do not tell you it in a form of story. And basically story stays, right? That's what we do with brands as well. So when you see Nika Man, or when you see even Wow Skin Science for Men, and a lot of brands that I've worked with, the baseline is always that it is a human, it is a kind of human that you can relate to. It's a voice that is speaking to you. The brand is never just the product that you see that is out there on the sale on all the e-commerce. Of course, the purpose is to attain that kind of numbers or figures that should translate into sales. But the end product, that is the brand that should speak to your target audience as an independent voice. So when I say this applies to your personal life as well. I mean, this applies not exactly your personal, but overall aspect of your life. When you are going to tell your story or you tell it for your brand, basically parallel it as one individual. Your brand is your individual, and of course you are your end brand as well. So when you're setting out to tell a story, be it for anything, be it for a brand that you're handling, be it for your own self, or be it any lesson that you are trying to learn, let it have a beginning. And how can you achieve that perfect beginning? You should always be honest with what you're going to tell. If you're going to tell that you are something or the other thing, that is not true. It's going to show up in the end, and that's going to cost you a lot. And speaking of which, the rain had started. I'm so sorry, Kaushik. I'm hoping the session would go along. I'm making this, we are recording this amidst a lot of obstacles because there's a rain, there's unstable internet. So I'm hoping that you guys would make up with everything that goes. Basically, a lot has been put in to present you with what we have learned, and I applaud these guys. Basically, because if I'm facing so many obstacles, even when I'm not organizing it, just imagine what these guys had been trying to do, putting all the speakers on one panel and putting it out there for you. So yeah, let's come back to the inception. So when we tell about honesty, when you talk about it, you are always going to be vulnerable. You are going to tell your own story. You are going to, if you have a negative point, it will show eventually. So it's better to start by accepting that. suppose a lot of grooming brands, I would not name a particular brand, but a lot of grooming brands have made this mistake of telling people that, this will brighten your skin or this will lighten up your complexion and all of that. And now they are all paying that price because they did not acknowledge that fault. Everyone knew of this fault ever since the start. There were always voices, but they were not honest about, that aspect of their brand. So if you begin by addressing that even in your mind, you do not have to go out there and tell that this is my fault. You do not have to do that. You just have to be honest in your own mind, and then you have to put it out there. So a lot of things that goes into a brand, it's a lot of vulnerability that social media marketers or even all these individuals who are putting a brand together do not let you see. What you see is the pitch perfect brand image that you have in your head, and you see that it's amazing, that it's working out so well. Behind the curtains, it's not. There's a lot of hodgepodge, there's a lot of last minute decisions, there's a lot of things that go wrong, and the success is that you never see that thing make it to the end product. Okay, moving on to the next point, we'll say that you always have to keep learning. It's not like you have had a certain number of years spent in attaining your degrees or certain number of years doing that particular course. Even after you pass out, even after you do a course, or even if you have learned everything and you believe that you are now the master of your whole narrative, or you are the epitome of all the hacks that digital marketers use these days, you always have to constantly learn. You have to be open to that thing. We are all learning. Even the top marketers, they are all learning, because if you see, the technology is changing so fast. The user interfaces for so many apps where you use your products, you put it out there, they are changing so fast that you have to learn that. And if you won't, you'll be dragged behind. And all of those people who are learning, who are keeping up with every new development out there in the world, they are going to succeed. So the only key factor that will keep you succeeding is your zeal to learn. And how do you learn? And when I say you have to learn, how exactly do you do that? You observe. You go out there on the social media platform that you have been using, be it LinkedIn, be it Instagram, or be it any platform that you think is the platform future. You go and you learn from your peer brands. You keep your eyes open, and when you do that, you will always know that there are some things that you did not even think of, but somebody else thinks. And that's the beauty of all that community that we have created over time. Someone or someone other is going to put up with that knowledge, and you'll be like, oh my god, this was so beautiful, why didn't I think of that? And even if you did not think of that, you open up your mind, you observe, and you learn. And I'm not saying that once you learn, you're going to replicate that the same thing in your storytelling. No, you don't. You get inspired by that. And a lot of people who are into social media marketing these days, they'll tell you that they get inspired all the time by amazing content creators. You cannot ever be jealous, or you cannot, and the best you can do is envy. Oh my God, why I didn't think of that. But when you move over that, you always get inspired by the amazing content that people are creating out there. And that thing is where your learning comes in place. That is where you inspire. That is where you open up your brains and get mesmerized by the content people create. And then you create amazing set of content yourself. So it's a open world, and you have to see all of it. You have to be constantly observe, and you have to observe constantly. You have to seek knowledge, and you have to keep up with the trends. That is the basic line of social media. You cannot ever stop learning. You can go offline, you can go online, no matter what you do, you have to be a learner. There's no social media marketer who does not learn. And basically, I'm elaborating it so long because this is the key point that you must learn at all times, that you must keep in your mind every time. And learning is not working. You are not. It's not like if you're learning 24/7 or even in your sleep, which, by the way, does not happen. But if you are learning on the go, you know that it's not work. If you start learning, and if you like learning, you are going to embrace that thing, and you are going to be an improvised version of yourself over the time. And this is not only in social media, but in all the other disciplines that you see. So this is one thing that I have that has helped me over time. And then you always have to be open up to experiments. Nobody can tell you what is going to be trending or what will click with the audience. Basically, if you have been inspired with so many content, and if you see that so many types of content has worked before, there's a time when content gets saturated. I think if you recall, in recent times, we all have had this trending format, which basically would be one format that all the brands would replicate. A lot of it, I'm not sure if you guys have seen, but there would be new password, old password kind of format, and that would be the same essential format, and people would be copying that for all their brands. There was nothing new. So if you think that something has trended on for other brand, it may not work for yourself because that content has saturated. You cannot repeat that. You have to experiment. You have to believe your intuition that this may work and this may not, and you have to sometimes it may not work, and 98% of the time it does not work. Maybe in your head it sounds like, oh my god, this is the new cool idea, this is going to be trending. It may go out there and people might not even notice, and that disappointment, when you see that your whole team was working behind that one idea which you thought was going to blow up people's mind, and then it does not, that disappointment that hits you, that is not, I cannot explain that disappointment that me or even my team has gone through. And you might not even notice that, you might not even see that this was a trending thing that they had tried to create, but it happens all the time. So you have to be open to experiments, and then you have to be open about your failures as well. There are going to be 98% of failures, believe me or not, but this is where it leads. And then you take calculated risks. So there are some things that you cannot absolutely do with certain kind of brands. There are some basic guidelines. They also have these brand guidelines. If you do it for any other brand, you'll see that they have this small booklet of 10 to 18 pages where they tell you what is the exact voice they want to set out. Basically, they are just trying to tell you what not to do with their brand. It's not. You may mistake it for these are the instructions that I have to follow. No, they are not going to limit your creativity. They are not going to limit what you have to do. They are limiting what you cannot do. They are telling you what is the red line that you do not have to cross at all. Given constraints, you do not have to do that, and that may include a sensitive statement, or that may include a sensitive piece of news, that you cannot do that with your brand, because that brand is simply not your brand, because you are a digital marketer. There are a lot of people who are associated with that, and you have to represent all of their voices. So you cannot go ahead and give out their opinion as an individual and be like, this is the page I handle and I'm going to let it do what I think is right. And you are not going to be right all the time. So listen to all the voices in the team and take calculated risks. Do not create absolute blunders. Do not touch stand for something that's right, but do not go down the sensitive issue that may go wrong for the brand. To create a brand, it takes a lot. To destroy it, it just takes one tiny mistake, which will be pointed out till your brand exists. So do not go that way. Listen to people, be open to votes. If you are confused if this is this side of the line, or if this is on the other side of the line, always take opinions, always talk to someone senior, or always go and talk to the representative of the brand who have assigned you to handle their page, and then make the final decision on sensitive issues. That was about the inception, and I forgot that I had to actually parallel it with my personal story as well. So when you see all of these points, this is not just what I have done for my brands. This is what I have done for myself as well. I'd always been honest about what I did not like and what I should not have done, or what I should have done with my time. So when I dropped out, I was honest about that I did not know anything about botany. And okay. And that was one honest thing. I still did not know that if I liked social media marketing, or if I'm the person who is the absolute, who who has it in me to be that digital media marketer that I had set out to be. Or when Monkey signed me up with a contract, I did not know if it's even meant for me. I still don't know. I'm still experimenting. So you always have to be honest that you may not know a lot of things, but you have to go and you have to learn. And when you learn, you can succeed. I've not, even in my introduction, people have told you already that I have not learned, I've not done a single course on digital marketing. And still, I have been putting out content on some of the good brands that I see are now making mark for themselves. And all of this, what I did was always by learning and observing and how people do that. I used to read blogs. I still go and read the keyword that is the Google's blog. I still go and read the Pied Piper's blog, which is a fictional company in Silicon Valley. So there's a lot of content that you go and you read and you embrace it in yourself. And that is how you prepare yourself for experiments. If you would go and watch Silicon Valley, the company, the blog that I had been talking about just a few minutes back, you will see that a lot of things go wrong in making up for a company. And this is not particularly for social media. This is for all kinds of business. One thing else that I did not mention was how social media is the next big thing. Okay, this is not the job that pays you a lot. This can get taxing because you have to be open up at 2 a.m. because someone may call you and this is what went wrong, or this is something that is trending in the digital world right now, and you have to go and explore that synergy with your brand as well. So it can get taxing. It's not the highest paying job. For some, it is with a lot of experience. But when you start out absolutely from the ground bottom of everything, you are not getting paid a lot. You are working like sometimes even 16 to 17 hours of a day. And you may not be able to switch off between your work and the life that you may have had. I do not have a life apart from my work right now. So there's a lot of things that's going to be out there, and that's going to be taxing on you. And all of it can be done after after you learn all of it. And this is where you are going to tell yourself that you tried your best. And you are going to learn a lot of things with the brands that you are working with. One of the key advantages of social media managers are they almost know a lot of things about the brands that even the grade 4 grade 5 category of employees of that brand may not know, because you are getting updates on how the brand is transforming itself from brand A to brand B, how it's rebranding itself, what are the charities or what are the steps it is taking, because they are going to come and tell you that you have to highlight these things on their pages. So you are going to get a lot of hands-on experiences that will let you be what you are exactly. Even if you are going to be an entrepreneur in like 5 to 7 years of your life, this experience is going to come a lot more handy than you can see right now. Right now, all you see is an Instagram page or a LinkedIn page where you're making some of the points. But deep down, you are embracing all that knowledge of what it goes into a brand, what it takes to build that brand. And that thing, if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, there's no better way to learn that. If you haven't started to build a brand right now, this is where this knowledge is going to help you in the future. So that was about the inception and how you can get started. Am I missing something more? Maybe we'll take questions at the end of the session. So now that you have started to be, you have gone out there and you have told yourself that you have started, that the inception the inception is there. How do you take your story forward? What do you tell? Now you're on Instagram. What do you tell people? What do you tell your target audience? Or what do you tell the people who are observing you? So it's going to be both the sides. When you're telling a story about the brand, you have to absolutely establish it as a protagonist. The protagonist may be it may have some kind of flaws. It may be the absolute hero, because it has to be that powerful, because it is the hero of your brand, it is the hero of your narrative. So you have to make it a human voice, as human as possible, something that relates. And this is what most brands do it with themselves. They make it human. They are able to transform themselves in such a way where they connect with you, be it via meme, or be it with any kind of conversations, be it trending content that is going on. You always have this tendency that you should go and you should comment something on that. Why does that happen? Why are you inclined to comment on a particular piece of meme that you don't even know who the person is behind that brand, and you don't know who's handling it? Why do you still have that tendency to go engage with that brand? That is essentially because you relate to that brand. It echoes in your mind as a human voice. So when you tell the story of your brand, you always establish itself as a protagonist. You make it a human voice, as human as possible. The brands who do not make that kind of strategy, who do not humanize the brand, they do not go very, very far. And you will observe this in all the kinds of trends that you'll see. Uh, I've not included any examples in my presentation, but if you'll go out there on social media, and there's one thing that I had done while applying to jobs when I did not know how to actually search for new companies. What I used to do was refresh the stories after I had viewed all, and then you will get this promoted stories in between. And from there, you know that there's this new startup that you may not have had any idea that it exists. So by that, you can see a lot of startups that has not yet been, you have no idea that they exist. And then you can see the following that gets for the brand that have a human voice, and the brands who do not let themselves out there as a human. There would be a starking difference in the following and engagements that both the kinds of brands would get. So always remember that your product or your brand, it is the hero of the narrative that you are trying to build on that particular social media platform. So that is there. And when you humanize it, it is going to have some kind of flaws. It may have had some kind of problem that you may not have foreseen. For example, I did explain how complexion and skin racism and all of that came into light recently, while Fair and Lovely was being sold for all those years. You may not have had predicted, or maybe some of your USPs might backfire after a certain period of time. So you must know that you are going to be vulnerable when there are a lot of people who are out there on social media judging your brand, and they are they have this one thing that they are going to judge your brand. You have to accept that you are going to be vulnerable, and it's very important that you be vulnerable, you be open to suggestions, and you are ready to accept that mistake, and then you reinvent that branding. When I say that there is this necessary antagonist, these criticisms, these problems that you may not have foreseen yourself, these are going to build your brand in the longer run, because this is where you are going to coexist with your target audience, and they'll respect you for reinventing yourself. You have to give them a voice that they can trust. You can be right, you can be wrong, and if you are wrong, you can make amends. And that is one thing that people respect you for, even in your life, or be it with your brand. You always have that. You should always keep that door open to reinvent yourself or to rebrand yourself. And that is essentially why a lot of brands undergo rebranding. You may not have heard the word before, but rebranding happens that once the product is out there, or once a brand is out there, after some years down the line, or even after a brief period of marketing of all of that has gone into building that brand, people start changing the narrative. People start changing the factors that people relate with the brand. And that is called rebranding. And they do it essentially because they want to fit better with their target audience. And nobody knows it since the start. Suppose you are going to go start a brand page today, you are never going to know what will happen tomorrow, or what will people relate to tomorrow. This is where you reinvent yourself, and you should be ready to reinvent yourself at all cost. And that is how your story moves. If you'll tell people the same story over and over again, nobody is going to listen to your plot. They are going to get saturated, they are going to get bored, and they get bored all the time. Essentially why people start unfollowing you, or people start engaging less with your content. And this is exactly why platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime Video, they are doing so well, because their plot naturally goes on moving because they have the content there. But what do you do with brands like suppose a grooming brand? What do you do with that? You tell them a new story about grooming, you tell them a new trend that you are following these days. It can be a lot of things. Also, one of the things that I've not included in this PPT is how you do not always have to talk about your product all the time. You have to tell them a story. It may not include your product, it may not include your it may not include your special offer that you are out there and you are giving everyone, like, 20% off, 30% off. You do not have to tell that story. Simply tell them a story about the subject you are talking about. If you're talking about say movie theaters, talk about movies, the experiences that they give. Do not tell them that, on some occasions you may tell them that there's this offer that is going on, but you cannot constantly keep talking about, this is the movie theater, come to my show. It cannot work that way. You will have to tell them about the experience you are going to give, or the way it transforms you, the content consumption transforms you, or the way it makes you believe, or it makes you feel. People are always going to remember that part of your narrative. They will always remember how you have made them feel as a brand or as a person. That works all the time. So that is all about the plot that you are building. If I'll talk about some case studies, so I'll tell you about my experiences with a few brands that we have worked. If I'll talk about a particular, say, I worked with an Ayurveda brand. So when we talk about Ayurveda, it's a habit that we keep talking about. Oh, this is a bottle that is going to get rid of all the issues that you may have in your body. People are never going to be enchanted by that. But when you tell them about Ayurveda, and when you tell them about the transformation, the transformation that Ayurveda brings in your life, they're going to turn towards Ayurveda. And when they turn towards Ayurveda, they're always going to remember, okay, this is the person who told me about Ayurveda. This person might have a better idea on what kind of product should be used, or what kind of alternative should be used. And then they are going to recall that you were that person, and then they are going to come to you, and they'll have this trust because you told them about Ayurveda without, it may appear so that you told them about Ayurveda without gauging your own profit, which is not true. You were you were talking about Ayurveda all along because you wanted a profit for yourself. But this is going to be perceived as you are some person who told them about Ayurveda, who introduced them to Ayurveda with an intention that it may transform people's life. And then they are going to come to you, then they are going to engage with your brand, and then they are going to engage with your narrative on how it is transforming their health. And chances are they might be the loyalist customer you will ever get, because they relate with your story. So that is why I tell you to be vulnerable all the times, and to accept that, this may work, this may not work. Reinvent yourself, keep it moving. Basically, the wheel that you have out there, it cannot stand at one place for long. It has to keep moving. Apart from that, even in my own story, I'll tell you that when I had to keep my plot moving, I could not have standard at botany. I had to keep changing my narrative. I had to be that powerful person in my head to make it work as whatever. I did not know I would end up in social media. I had to reinvent myself as well, as a, not exactly as a marketer, because I did not have any idea that I'll be in this space. Yeah, I think it's not even been a year when I knew that I would be talking about some of my experiences. Exactly a year ago, I was hunting for jobs, and I was a college dropout. I did not even know if people will offer me a job or not. So what I did in those times, I kept learning. I kept my plot moving. I kept learning new things. I was ready for reinvention, if you might say that. I kept on getting more and more skills under my wings. And that was done basically by accepting what I could not do, what were my faults, and what I should have done. And I did that. Okay, so moving ahead, what is the conclusion of all of it? What should be your voice like? What you should go ahead with, and what you should not? What should be your reservations? It's all about how do you get a brand's voice right? So I'll tell you what makes you more audible, what makes you get perceived better. You always have to have that kind of grace. You always have to be very righteous in what you are telling people. You have to be very gentle when you're dealing with your customers or even your target audience. They're always going to remember that calm voice which told them about something that they did not know. And we accept accept for people for their opinions. You cannot win an argument with an argument. It never happens. So when some person is criticizing your brand, you have to accept that with grace. You have to respond in a very, very calm manner, because you might have seen this with a lot of brands. Whenever something goes wrong, they always have this polite tone, not because they are on the wrong front, because they know that they cannot echo the same resentment that the customer is throwing at them. So anyone could be wrong. Maybe the customer would be wrong, or the service providers could be wrong. But you always have to maintain your grace. You always have to be that kind person who is out there to solve the problem. And the problem could be any. The problem could be your narrative or your service. The problem could be endless. And you always troubleshoot that, like how you do it with your computers. You never give up on your laptops, do you? So you can never give up on your narrative or your brand, and you keep inventing them. But what you should not do with a brand's voice, you should never ever keep it, at you should never have that mentality that you are 100% wrong or 100% right all the time. Learn to know that you can make mistakes, apologize, and be ready to apologize in public. Be ready to use that statement out there. A lot of brands who make mistakes, they issue a public apology unconditionally, and you would have seen with a lot of brands. Even legends like Ogilvy and all of those brands, you'll see that people always issue apologies when they are wrong, and they correct it, and they are respected for that. Everyone knows how human it is to make mistakes, but you cannot be right all the time. And after you have done all of it, you should not keep a grudge against your target audience, or you should not, in very rare cases when it's being absolutely problematic to handle some of your target audiences, you can restrict their participation, but you should not hold a grudge. You should know that you have let yourself out in a public platform, and then you should be ready for all aspects of it. When I say all aspects, it's going to be a lot of love. People are going to respect you a lot for your content, and then there's going to be some kind of pointing fingers at you for some kind of narration that you may have made, or some kind of mistakes that you unintentionally did, and they are going to point that fingers at you. You have to be available for that judgment, and you take it with grace. You reinvent that, and you incorporate that in your narrative further, and then you make that is what makes a brand. Your brand is never just one story that you pitch out there. It keeps getting built over the time as your content gets built, as you gain more new followers, and as you see that this is not just a point. This is not your brand is going to move, and it can be upwards, it can be downwards. It has a graph of its own. So never take this point as your absolute brand. Be flexible, be enough elastic that you should be able to embrace all of it. When I say all of it, you should be ready to embrace the upside of it, the downside of it, and you must take it all with, okay, I learned something new today. So that is something I'm not sure how well I'm able to put all of this. I'm starting out and this is my first session ever. So I'm not sure how well I'm able to put that. But this is how it happens. And this is how most stories are told. Be it your own personal story or be it with any of your favorite brands or even your favorite influencers. You do not know everything about them at a particular point A. And the reason why you are always interested in their journey is because they keep embracing those highs and lows. And that is what makes a very interesting plot. And it can be your favorite story, it can be your favorite brand, it can be your favorite influencer, or it can be anything that is going to be your next favorite, even the meme pages. So yeah, that is all about how to be that kind of voice. I've tried and included all the necessary elements that I have learned over a brief period of time myself. What I've not included is how to bag those clients, or uh, how to go out there and be that digital marketer. I've not included that part. I'll give you a brief journey, a brief overview of how I have done all of that, or how certain brands have achieved something, or how you can be a part of that kind of journey. I'll do that towards the end of the session when we are done with the questions as well, or maybe some of the questions may address that. Apart from that, let's move out what happens when you are out there, when you are telling your story, when you have learned to be that kind of voice. What happens after that? It always happens. It's a happy ending. So until you have done something horribly wrong, or you are not out there and you're not ready to take the responsibility, it's going to be a happy ending. It's going to be a happy ending in such a way that it works somehow. If you are out there going to take the responsibility for all the voices that you have been representing, or if you are very honest about what you have been telling people, it always works out in a very, very happy way. I'll tell you with my own experience as well, even as a professional social media marketer, or with the brands for which I'm doing the storytelling thing. So it always works out because people are always going to respect you for your consistency and for for your vulnerability, for being one of them. And when you become one of them, they are going to take them as one of them. And when they do that, it's going to work out. It's going to be that happy ending that you have always aspired for. You are never going to be in certain moments you are going to be scrutinized for certain decisions or certain kind of content that you have made, but at the end it's going to work out for yourself. What you should always keep in mind while you are making that hustle and making that thing going on, you should always be consistent in your voice. It shouldn't be like, today I was on this high, I was this enthusiastic, and the next day I did not know who I was talking to. You cannot be that person. Be consistent in your voice, be consistent on the values that you are representing through your brand, and persevere for that perfection. There should always be a particular kind of outlook that should represent a brand. For example, if you recall a certain kind of bank, and when I say that it's blue, you always know which brand or which bank I am talking about. So you should have a certain kind of outlook, certain kind of relativity, or certain factors that make people relate it with that kind of brand, and it should come out very perfectly. It should not look shabby. There should be certain quality measures that you should never ever compromise upon. And you can ensure that by doing multiple rounds of quality checks. By quality check, I mean that you have the right kind of grammar, the right kind of visual, and it should overall be linear with the brand image that you're trying to make. When you do that, there's always going to be a coherence in all your content, and there's going to be a pattern which people will eventually recognize as yours. Suppose when you say Spotify, you always know what kind of content you are expecting from there, or what kind of values their page is going to represent. You never go on Spotify's page and think, oh my god, does this look like Dabur? You never do that because there's certain kind of coherence and all that and in their voice. When you go to Nika Man, you know what you're going to expect. You do not go there, and of course you're going to be amazed with what this every new piece of content is going to be amazing or something new that you have not seen before. But it's always going to be coherent with their voice. You always know what it is or what kind of content you are expecting out of there. So that is one thing. When you are going to make mistakes, you have to be I've repeated it multiple times. You have to be vulnerable in your life for things to work out. You have to be vulnerable with your brands for things to work out on social media. So that is one thing. And when you do all of this, when you tick all these checklists, you are going to trend. Some day or the other, you are going to trend because people are going to recognize you for your efforts. Also, one thing is that you should always try to sound relevant. I think I've not included that in my PPT. Why you should always try to sound relevant is because people are not going to, oh, maybe that's the impact that is not going to happen. Suppose you're talking about encyclopedias, and a lot of people are not talking about social media, encyclopedia right now. And if you have to talk about encyclopedia, then you have to relate it with the things that people are talking about then because even social media algorithms that work these days, they are going to help you get a lot of eyeballs. So if you're talking about social encyclopedia and people are talking about memes, then you make memes out of encyclopedia. So that is how algorithms are going to work out, and that is how they assist you, and that is how you get picked up, and that is how you trend. So always remember that particular point. You have to make your voice be recognized because there are millions of brands that are out there on social media, on different platforms, be it personal brands, product-oriented brands, service providers. There are a million voices out there who are waiting to be recognized, and there are billions of users. These platforms are getting saturated more than ever, and to be recognized in that chaos, you have to be someone very, very unique, or someone who is out there telling their story and who is very open to experimentation. And that is basically what I have been meaning to tell you from about all of this session. I think we should start taking this questions, and then towards the end of the session, I'll try and address the other questions that you may have had and that I have not included in the PPT. Basically, what I have included in PPT are the very basic values that you must know before you start out. How do you start out? We can have covered it towards the end of the session. So yeah, go ahead with the questions, Kaushik.
Thank you so much, Sonam. It was like amazing. Looks like Harsh has some issues with them. So I'll be asking you the questions. So it was really, it never looked like the first time you took it. It was, you were really killing the stage. Of course, that was the truth. I have to say it. Like the concept which you said was everything, everyone can relate to it. Like that's what I was able to do it. Whenever you said, it was able to relate to me. And the consistency, it's what every game you did. And one more thing, highlighting point, which I want to say is that for social media, we learn from social media. And that's what, that's great about it. Like we don't need any course or some ebooks, or there are millions of courses who are doing it, but we can learn everything from social media for doing that social media. And that's what we're killing it about.
But I would actually like to, I would like to intervene you when you said that there are a million courses. When I said that, I did not mean to disregard all of those courses or the content creators who are creating that course out there. It basically makes things very comprehensive when you are, taking a particular course or you are doing a crash course on social media. It makes it very comprehensive when you do a course. It basically is under one roof that you are learning everything. But eventually you have to step into the real world and you have to keep learning. So no matter, even if you pick up few courses or even if you don't, you always have to observe and you always have to learn. So so you may do a course, you may not do a course, but that does not make you ineligible to not pursue social media. That's about it.
Yeah, like experience is the first step of learning. I used to say that. Like when you make an experience, you learn more than what they teach in a course or any intake video. And this session was amazing. Thank you so much again. And we have tons of questions coming by. Let's shoot out with one by one.
Mm-hmm.
how to tell stories that captivate the audience.
That can?
That captivate the audience. So sorry for that.
Okay. So when you are talking about captivating the audience, I have repeated this in my session as well. So when you are out there and when you are ready to capture that attention, there are a million of voices that are going to uh, distract your target audience from even seeing your voice. What you do, how you set yourself apart is by becoming one of them.
True. Yes.
You want to attract. There's a very famous saying that your vibe attracts your tribe. Your target audience is going to be one of you only, and when you become one of them, you have to be relatable. You have to be talking about what they are talking, and that does not mean that you lose your in the process. You always be unique. You always bring a unique perspective in the narrative that you are telling them, but you have to be relatable. You have to be one of them in a certain way that you do not get lost in there. At the same time, you get recognized, and at the same time, you also be known for. Suppose if I'm attracting, even when we do it for Nika Man, suppose if we are attracting men um, who are who are not really enlightened about grooming issues, we make ourselves as inexperienced people as well, and we discover it with them through our content. We tell that story through them. We always choose the guys who are not so experienced in the grooming thing, and then they learn it on their own, and that is what you will see in all the vox pops or in all the forms of content that is being issued out there. So that is how you captivate your audience interest.
So nice, Sonam, from you. So this question I can relate it to how to get the right creatives for storytelling.
Creatives as in is there any
Image or any form of content, image or video, something like that.
Okay, so I discussed about the brand guideline that you will get whenever you are starting out with a certain page. So when you go through that brand guideline, you'd always see a particular color code that the brand wants to correlate it with itself. You are always going to get that tonality, the mood board. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes. What you see as the final creative on the page, it's not the first thing that comes to the creator's mind. That there's a lot of things that goes behind the scenes. In that thing, when you are trying to get the creative right, you always think about the tonality that your brand is going to represent. You always think about the color codes. You always and these are all the secondary parts. The color codes, the aesthetics, these are all the secondary parts. The primary thing is the content that is going to go there and make the statement for you. So when you do that, you will automatically get the creative right when you think about it in a very innovative manner. Always think about what are you going to bring. Suppose it's a festival. Suppose it's say it's a Baishakhi. What new are you going to bring with your creative? Either you can simply go and wish it like Happy Baishakhi, which a lot of brands will be doing out there. But what else can you bring on the table? You can do it by imagining it in a very creative way. You can pick a visual, or you can create a visual that is going to be unique, that nobody else thought of that dimension, and then you make it coherent with the brand guideline that you already have in your mind. When you're working on your brand, it is very important to have understood all the principles that the brand is representing, the color codes or the aesthetics. Some brands can be very minimal, some brands can be very loud in their aesthetics. So you always have, there's no problem being very loud or being very minimalistic. You can be either, and you can maintain a fine balance in between as well. But what matters is your content, and after that you always have to recheck. You should always have two or more people who will recheck your final piece of content. It should not have grammatical mistakes. It should not look out of the it should not look out of the place, because essentially it's going to represent your brand. Every piece of content represents your brand. So get that right, and then your creative would be great. It will resonate with people.
Yes, what you was, I totally agree with you. What is the tone and variation in content that is needed?
The tone and variation. Okay, I went on for about a minute explaining the tone and variation or the content thing. So one thing I told was that you should be relatable. You should have that kind of uniqueness in your voice. You should always keep in mind the issue that you are addressing, and you should not get too immersed in that issue, but also maintain a uniqueness in your voice that basically makes that brand recall happen. So when you are putting out a content, be innovative, be very subtle, and think of a dimension where other people may not have been thinking. When I say this, I mean that there are going to be a lot many voices that are going to work on the same topic, the same sort of content that you are going to present, and to stand apart, to have that kind of tonality, or to have that kind of variation in your pitch, you always have to keep things innovative. That is where you keep your plot moving, and that is what I essentially spoke throughout the session as well. You have to keep serving them with unique content all over, and do not think too much about what kind of tonality it is. As long as you are coherent with your brand's guidelines, and as long as you are keeping it relevant, it's going to work.
Yes, sorry for that.
That's
So,
okay.
last question, Sonam. We are good.
Yeah.
I mean, how to plan the storytelling? Do you have any separate steps you follow? Any secrets from you? How to plan the storytelling?
You address your target audience in a way. When you are telling a story, I've maintained the key pointers of what should be your essential elements. There should always be a certain kind of voice that you are going to echo in your audience mind. Even when you are not being repetitive, you are going to be a voice that is going to stick around, and people are going to recognize you for your brand values as well. So when you start telling out a story, make sure that you are being very honest. And when you tell that, just when we do content planning, essentially what turns out to be storytelling at the end of the day, when we do content planning, we keep all the key pointers in our mind and right there in front of our eyes. What is the event, or what are the key pointers that we are working at, what we should necessarily not miss, what should be the exact thing that we should keep going. For example, if you are planning for a content that is there, suppose we are doing it for a particular event, say any festival, any normal festival, like Deepavali. Okay, so there's going to be light. How are you going to represent that light? How are you going to tell that story in one creative or even one video? You have to think of all those elements that must not miss, and that should not be the hero of that. That should always be the characters that play a part in your story. The hero of your content or your story should always be the statement that you are going to make, the narrative you are telling. So it could be any idea. For example, if you are making a video around Diwali, it can be a subtle bond between family members that you are trying to highlight, and you can make it unique, you can make it relatable by addressing problems of today's. Like a lot of people on Diwali, they are not at their homes, they are celebrating it out of their towns, and it's a lot of struggle to get the ticket in time, because it always gets overcrowded. And these are the problems that are relatable for your target audience. And when you address these particular problems with your storytelling, the background elements could be diyas, the background elements could be lights, a lot of decorations, sweets, and a lot of these are not the hero, or these are not the heroes of your stories. These are at best character roles. The hero of your story is the statement that you are going to make. In this case, the bond that you are going to celebrate. So when you tell that story, you keep these things in mind, that for whatever things you are preparing, you always keep the elements right there in front of your eye and try to relate that with a statement that you have to make, and always keep that statement very clear. It should not be vague. It should not go out there, and it should not make the audience feel, okay, what were they trying to say? That is what essentially makes the flop stories or flop films, and that is exactly what makes for a flop creative content. You should not be vague.
we have come to an end, Swaram. Do you have anything to say about it?
Uh-huh.
Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, towards the end of the session, I always wanted to address on how to start. You all have that kind, and I wanted to do this at the end of the story because you always have a certain set of things where you know that these are the elements of stories. I can be this fine storyteller. How do I start? What is the starting point? You have all the things ready. You have a smartphone, you have a laptop, you have a stable internet connection. In our case, it's not. But what does it take to start off? And when you do that, how do you start out? I think a lot of it comes in a way where people make themselves very they classify themselves in their own mind that they are ineligible to start out, or I do not have any professional degree in social media marketing. Oh my god, how am I going to start? Why would people hire me as their social media manager? And this is where you have to tell yourself that you can do it. If you are learning, if you are observing content, I'll tell you how I started. How I started was essentially I started back there in school. I did not do much of it. I used to observe how people were cracking jokes on their timelines, and I used to do the same on my timeline. I was a student in class 11th, I guess. That was a very, very random thing to do. And somebody saw that content, and I started very small. And that is, you may have big opportunities, but at certain point of time you are going to have when I started out very small with very small startups. You may have big opportunities, you may have small opportunities, but it's all going to build up your story. You can be very small when you start out. The important thing is that you should keep looking for opportunities. You should always, suppose if you are at point A, you should always keep looking for point B that is somewhere higher to your point A. Sometimes it's going to go downhill, sometimes it's going to go uphill, but the important part is that you keep looking at opportunities. In my case, I did what I could. I started out with very, very small startups who did not even had enough budget to, to produce enough content for their own selves, or some startups didn't even know what content could do for themselves. But I started out there as a basic content writer, and a lot of people have started from there. When I tell you this, I've talked to a lot of people in my field who started out as a content writer. And what does it take to be a content writer? You should have a basic good grammar, and you should know how to structure your content. So, and from there you start learning how to make creative. You start experimenting with tools. You familiarize yourself. Even if you are not very proficient in Adobe Illustrator, you do not have to be. Start experimenting with basic tools. A lot of applications that we have out there, say Canva, for example, or a lot of apps that make you do the basic thing, the basic content that can be created out of any platform. You do not have to be proficient in some kind of software. You can always start low. And that is how you build your portfolio, and then you start applying. And you apply at all places and be ready to be rejected by 98% of the places you apply at. Uh, in my case, I do not recall how many brands to whom I must have mailed. I was recently going through my sent mails from, I think, a couple of years back, and I saw that there were over 60 to 70 mails that I sent out that has not been responded to, that may not have been acknowledged at all. And even with my current employers, I think I had applied, and when I say this, I did not even know that they existed. I had no idea that there was this particular company that I'm going to work with. I did not know that it has been founded. I have told you that I used to refresh the stories to see for new brands who would push out promoted stories, and then I would get familiarized with that brand. I would go to their websites and I would immediately see career openings and all of that things, if I would be a potential fit there or not. That is how I started. So and when I applied, they took around 2.5 months to get back to me. And at that time, I was so consistent in hunting a job, and I did it just for a month. When I hunted for a job, I just did it for a month. And I was so consistent that at the end of the day, I had around 3 job offers even before I had left my town for Bombay. I did not have the need to go out to Bombay to search for a job there. And that is essentially because I had kept all my options open, and I was very, very consistent. And I was telling an honest story about myself and why should they hire me. Or for some brands, when you do it, even with freelancing, you may not be a full-time, you do not have to be a full-time employee kind of person. You can be a freelancer. You just have to find your potential fit, and you should keep hustling. And that is where you get stable. And in some cases, you keep rolling. You do not have to be stable at the age you are right now. Nobody of us is, despite of what we keep telling ourselves or what we keep believing in our journeys. This is not what we are. Nobody is exactly that kind of person that you have perceived. These are the things that you are perceiving behind the screens, or when you see at screens, you see at so many stories, and you look at and you get inspired. What you don't know is that they are one from you, and that is why exactly you get so inspired by them, because you see them as you, and you know that you can do it too. But where you lack is that you do not get started. This is the time to get started, and this is exactly how you're going to perceive it. Also, I will have to. I think I'll have to share my screen again. I missed out on the last slides on where to find me actually, which is very, very important because suppose I tell you a lot of things that may or may not work, and you may always have a lot of questions, but this is where you can find me if you have any more questions. So back to the screen. So yeah, I wanted to take a moment to thank you, or thank all of the audiences who might be seeing it at a later stage. A great deal of thanks for you, Nihal, and for you, Kaushik, and all the team members who are at the back end doing things for making the Storytellers Tribe and this summit a big success. So I wanted to have that kind of gratitude because it's very important to appreciate people for what they do, because that keeps the fire in them open, and that makes you realize as well where you stand, and that explores a great kind of synergies. A great deal of thanks for all of you. Apart from that, where this is where you can find me, and even before, when I tell you that where do you find me, I'm being very, what do I say? I'm being very assumptuous that you are going to look out for me, and I'm hoping that this session turns out great. And that totally depends on the editor. Kaushik, there's a great hint here. Please edit irrelevant things out. I do recognize that I might have done things that I might have said things that may not be relevant. So yeah, a very big responsibility on the editor. And about the content part, a lot of content creators, edit plays a big role. Pardon me if I have not told you this before. Edit makes for a great content. So always keep your edit team at handy, and always be prepared to edit things out, even if you like it a lot. A good edit makes a lot more difference. So even when I've told you where to look for me, I'll tell you why to look for me. You can look for me for conversations, a lot of conversations that you might want to share. I keep interacting on my Instagram, and I find great deal of people who open new sort of conversations, some dimensions that I might not be aware about. So we talk about all the things. We talk about stars. We talk about our dreams. We talk about sometimes angiosperms. I do not know a lot of things about botany, but then there's a lot of things that are not there and that has not been explored. And I would always welcome your ideas. And if you want to have a great conversation, come hit me up with any of these mediums. I am always there. Yeah, I told you about dreams, did I? So we should keep talking about dreams. So come talk to me. I think it helps me a great deal to move forward when people talk to me about their dreams, and it helps echo that kind of synergy that we are all trying to build out there. So, and the last things, all the kinds of stories that you have to tell. Just come, talk to me, tell me all your stories. I'll tell you mine in return, and then we can see how this goes. Basically, let's create a community, something that Storyteller Strive is trying to do as well. And stories bind that community very well. I'm not sure if I have put it very appropriately at this moment of time, but this is where you can, find like-minded people, and you can tell people that you can tell your stories, and you can exchange stories, you can learn a lot of things. So one of those places is my DM on my Instagram or my mail ID. And for more interesting content, you have Storyteller Strive. Go visit their website if you haven't. I found a lot of interesting things there. You might find yourself something of use there as well. And that would be all. I think I have covered all the points. If you have any questions, anything, even on how to get started, what to do, how to pitch, I'm right there, and I'll be able to address as per my capability as much as I can.
So thank you, Sonam. It's like truly an inspiration for me. Like where I'm doing an MBA, but has no value when compared to you. Like
You
this
are
one
doing
session is like
absolutely great, Nihal. I'm so sorry for interrupting, but I would not like you to demean yourself about what you have been pursuing. That
just it's
I know, but
so
please,
yeah. This session is like very close to ourselves too because it has storytelling in it, and we as a storyteller been so much thankful to you for giving such a wonderful summit. And make sure you said this is the first time, and I hope so. And we'll be seeing again and again in the future too. So thank you so much, Sona, for spending your valuable time with us. Over to you, Kaushik.
Sonam, love the way how you took us on this journey, narrated such a beautiful and relatable story as Nihal mentioned. Like like you pretty much covered anything and everything that is to narrating a beautiful and drawing a beautiful narrative. So thank you so much, Sonam.
it was a pleasure. Of course.
Also, those were such sweet notes, and as you mentioned, this support is what keeps us going. As all of you know, all of us are volunteers trying to bridge the gap, trying to bring all of us together, and this will not be possible without each and every one of you. And just as Sonam said, what is your story? Let us know. This could be anything. What is the story which? Why do you want to tell stories? Tell a story about that. Send it out on LinkedIn, Twitter, Insta, anywhere. Make sure you tag Sonam and us as well so we can help you amplify the story. And hey, you might also have a really cool goodie coming knocking your door. We have a ton of other sessions in store as well. Make sure you bookmark the page if you haven't already. Enable pop-up notifications so you don't miss out on the sessions. And we will see you with the next one.
Hold up, just before we leave, this summit will not be possible without you, our speakers, and our exquisite sponsors, Handysons. Handysons are the official partners of Twilio Sendrid, arguably one of the best mailing tools out there, right? These cool emails we're sending you, as I mentioned, were sent to you through Handysons as well. So make sure you check them out. They make the life of all developers and marketers alike easy. It's completely plug and play. Make sure you check them out, as I mentioned. And for the summit attendees, they have this cool 6 months for free offer, and their pro plans are at 20% off as well. Make sure you find the link down there, and we will see you in the next session. Make sure you send out all your social shares with hashtag #ThankYouSocial, thanking the power of social and our digital heroes. I will see you in the next session.